I'm a Branch Davidian and I'm all right. I shoot all day and I pray all night. I worship Koresh, he's the Lamb of God. CBS calls him a drunken sod. But I'm a Branch Davidian and I'm okay. I shoot all night and I pray all day. Look, here I stand on, what is that, I don't know, the 490th day of the standoff in Waco, Texas. And the FBI is saying they're going to deal with him as soon as they get a message from God. I can just see God now. You know, God hasn't got anything better to do. He hasn't talked to Jerry Falwell in weeks. Jerry's got bad breath. So God goes, come on out, David. It's time, David. Nothing happens. I'm talking to a friend of mine the other day, Tom Monteleone, the author, who happens to write these thrillers about sort of millennial, biblical, supernatural horror novels. Like, well, here, this is one right here. It's called The Blood of the Lamb. Now, this is not The Silence of the Lambs. That's a different one in which people eat people. This one is The Blood of the Lamb, and it's Tom Monteleone. He's a very fine writer. And he writes these books about the Second Coming and that kind of thing. And we're talking about the Branch Davidians and these nutcases who are, you know, sort of pseudo Jim Jones nutcases in Waco, Texas. And he said, how can they be so crazy? How can they believe that stuff? I said, you're a Catholic, Tom. You believe that they nailed up a Jew and he got down off it and he came out of a cave and he walked on water and he raised the dead. What are you telling me that they're crazy for? Well, folks, I've been too easy with you. I've allowed you to believe a lot of very strange things. I really have to intercede in the name of common sense. Now, for instance, the magazine comes out every quarter called Skeptical Inquirer. It's a very good magazine for you to read. Skeptical Inquirer does articles about those stupid circles that they find in wheat fields in England, which, you know, are made by people doing stupid things in wheat fields. I mean, I guess they have nothing better to do. They have time on their hands. And right here, there's a special report. This special report says 3.7 million Americans have been kidnapped by aliens. They took the reports from all of the various tabloid papers, and they analyzed them. They got a whole mathematical grouping, and they find that if, in fact, as many people as say have been kidnapped by aliens have been, it's 3.7 million Americans. Now, isn't it amazing that of all those 3.7 million Americans, not one of them could put a sentence together properly and grammatically? They always come to some yo-yo out in East Chitley Switch, Georgia, and then they take him up into space and they give him a rectal examination. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were a proctologist, one rectal examination is more than enough to learn everything you need to know about the human anatomy. But these aliens are either perverts or it's not happening. Look, when I do these comments with you, and being a writer who writes science fiction and fantasy and that kind of thing, I try to tell you that there's a big difference between me using a Loch Ness Monster or a Yeti in a story and actually believing that crap. I don't believe that stuff. I'm a human being. I'm a normal person. I believe in Occam's razor. I think there probably is something out there in space, and eventually we'll find it, but I do not think they come here on a regular weekly basis. Here are the 10 great unanswered questions of science. And not one of them is about flying saucers. Now pay close attention. If you can answer any of these 10, we promise you an all-expense-paid tour to the fabulous Art Deco studios of Sci-Fi Buzz. You'll love it. It's fabulous. It's the size of the Taj Mahal. The 10 great unanswered questions of science from Discover Magazine, November 1992. Number 1, how big is the universe? 2, does chaos rule the cosmos? Number 3, what drives climate? Number 4, how did life start? 5, is anyone out there? 6, how does a single cell become a whole body? 7, what is consciousness? 8, who peopled the planet? 9, how many people can Earth hold? And 10, can we wipe out disease? Now, these are great mysteries. You don't really need to believe crazy stuff, like James Dean is not actually dead, but living hideously deformed in a mental institution in Indiana, or that Elvis Presley makes regular visits to 7-Elevens. You don't have to believe that stuff. Trust me on this. I talk to God regularly. She tells me that's wrong.